Hey y'all, I'm James Wright and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about how the sausage is made, or at least the paste wax. Let's dive in. I have been selling a lot more paste wax recently than I normally do, and I want that to stop. So today I'm going to teach you how to make your own with the exact same recipe that I use in my shop. The first thing you have to understand is what exactly is paste wax. And it's pretty simple. All it is oil mixed with wax, which I've got a whole big box of it here. You mix those two together and you have paste wax. But if you've ever looked at the ingredients list on most store-bought paste wax, you're going to see they're a lot longer than that. And that's because they have to sit longer, so you have to have things in them that make them shelf-stable. Plus, you want to make them smooth and creamy and easy to apply, so you put in thinners that will then evaporate, leaving the paste and wax behind. A modern paste wax will have a lot of those extra things added to it. They're not necessary though. All you need to make a paste wax is oil and wax, mix them two together in whatever ratio you want and whatever types you want, and you'll get paste wax. Different waxes and different oils will give you different characteristics. If you want something that's hard and durable, you might want a harder wax, maybe paraffin, or even harder than that. If you want something that's easy to apply and creamy, you may want beeswax, and that's generally what I use for most of mine. Some people use carnauba when they're wanting to do lubrication on metal tools, and the list goes on and on. Each one has slightly different characteristics. It's the same with oils, and if you want one for more of a lubrication on a surface, you want an oil that's not going to polymerize quickly. If you want it for surface prep and finished woodworking, then you need something that polymerizes like a tung oil or a boiled linseed oil. But for me, I like to keep it fairly simple, and I've found for about 99% of applications, beeswax and linseed oil are really all you need, and they work very, very well. Though I do have a few slight differences. I make two different types of waxes that I use for almost everything. I have a hard wax, and inside it's basically a puck of slightly harder wax. This is beeswax mixed with raw linseed oil, and I use this for lubrication. So if I want my planes to move smoother, if I want the saws to slide in the cut, this is what I use. My soft wax, on the other hand, I want something that I can actually spread with a rag. This one, I put a thinner in. It's actually beeswax, linseed oil, and orange thinner. And if you want to know the exact ones I'm using, I'll put links to them in the description below. And here's the recipe I hang on the counter beside where I make them. For my hard wax, it's 2 parts beeswax to 1 part raw linseed oil. And for the soft wax, it's 2 parts beeswax to 2 parts boiled linseed oil to 1 part thinner. I used to use mineral spirits. Works very well, but I've found that I actually prefer the orange as long as I don't take the temperature up too high. The mineral spirits or white spirits works very, very well, but I know a lot of people out don't like it, and if it's for food things, there's a lot of people who are sensitive to that. The nice thing about it is that it evaporates and really leaves almost nothing behind. The orange thinner, though, leaves a lot more behind, but it's far more friendly. The problem is the orange thinner also has a lot of other things into it that will boil off if you heat it up too high. So you want to keep the temperature under 200 degrees. And that's why for making wax, I actually use these pots that I can plug in, and they've got a thermostat on the side that does relatively well of keeping the right temperature. And then there's a ball valve spigot on the bottom so that I can actually let the wax run off into the containers that allow me to pour it into different places. I used to use a dedicated crock pot that I actually got at a resale store, and the nice thing about that is I could use a ladle to then ladle it out into different things, though it tended to get a bit messy and I would end up dumping it in other places and have it on the counter. For small batches, a little double boiler like this works phenomenally well, or if you want to do it under stove, try not to do it over an open flame, but you can do it in a double boiler there. If you have an electric stove, it works great. If you have a gas stove, be very careful. For my beeswax, I use unbleached, simple beeswax. I used to get it from a couple local apiaries, but then they couldn't keep up with me and how much wax I actually needed, and so now I buy it in 50-pound boxes. Though if people keep buying it, I'm probably gonna have to buy them in larger supplies than 50 pounds. I measure out the wax by weight. Now, it really isn't that important. My 2-to-1 ratio is very wide, and some people get very specific on the ratios. For mine, by volume or by weight, it's really not gonna make that big a difference, and so I used to actually do it by volume, and I would have a scoop of this and a scoop of that, but now I found because of the volumes that I'm doing, it's actually easier to weigh it out, and so I now go by weight, even though I used to go by volume. It's just as simple as add the wax, put the oil into it, wait for it all to melt, mix it up. If you're going to put a thinner in, then you put the thinner in. You always wait and put that in last, and then pour it into the containers you want. For my soft wax, I pour it straight into the container that I can then put in a rag and wipe out what I need. For the hard wax, I actually use these silicone muffin trays that give me a really nice little brick that I can use. And one of these will last you for years of regular lubrication. Then I can take the puck out of there and I'll seal it up in a little wax to try and keep it better and put it into this. It really is that simple. Wax, oil, heat it up, mix it together, keep it underneath the boiling, and then pour it into whatever tray you want. You can even play with the ratios you want. You want it to be smoother and spread around, use more oil, or more thinner. You want it to be harder and something that sticks to a surface better, use more wax. There is no one best wax because there is no one place for it. There are so many different locations, different types of wax, so that you can mix and match and find the one that works for what you want on your specific spot. I'm getting to the point where this isn't quite big enough for what I need to do, and I'm probably going to be upgrading it here soon because I'm going through it a good bit faster than having to fill this up all the time. But for the average Joe in the shop, you could actually just do it in one of these and heat up the container, put a little bit of wax in there, put a little bit of oil in there, let it all melt out, spin it around, and then take it off the heat, and you've got paste wax. A lot of people do get bent out of shape over this wax is better than that wax, or this oil does better in this application, and some there are. But in most cases, I found the differences in the application are very minor. And so it's one of those things that I don't really mess with anymore. I keep one that's the standard and works well across all fields. If I really want to get into it and put in the time, I might make a small batch of something, but most of the time, these two do perfectly fine. I have found though, I really don't like using waxes that come from Brazil. And if you don't get that, don't go and Google Brazilian wax. I don't like selling things in my shop that I can't teach you how to make. I would much rather you go make it in your shop and find something that works well for you and find the exact recipe that you really enjoy. Because we're all a little bit different and we all like to try different things. But if you'd like to try exactly what I have, then you can go buy it, and I do say thank you for that because I like anytime someone buys something from my shop. And I'll have links to all of these raw and finished products in the list down below, as well as the recipes that I use. Fairly straightforward though. And it's in this point in the video that I've been waxing eloquent, and so at this point we need to have this video start to wane. So I do want to say thank you to everyone who has helped support this channel. Anyone who his name is over there, thank you. You guys are amazing. You're the ones who help us keep us going. And without patrons on Patreon, members on the channel, people who click that thank you button down there, you guys we wouldn't be here without you. So you guys make this happen, as well as all those who go and buy wax on my channel. So thank you. That does mean a lot. I think that'll about do it for now. And until next time, have a wonderful day. Wax on, wax off.